Hi, future GISPs. I'm going to teach you everything that I learned to easily pass the GISP exam so that you don't have to spend years reading textbooks, getting degrees, paying for prep courses, and searching the internet for information like I did. In this video, I'm going to teach you everything I learned about data selection queries and views. Data selection queries and views is the first section under the analytical methods category of the GISCI Geospatial Core Technical Exam list of knowledge categories. Let's get started with section 601, data selection queries and views. Data selection. Data selection involves choosing a subset of features or records from a data set based on specified criteria. Spatial selection. Spatial selection involves choosing features within a defined area or based on their relationship to other features. Spatial selection is also known as select by location. Attribute selection. Attribute selection is filtering features based on attribute values or on attribute conditions. Attribute selection is also known as select by attributes. Interactive selection. Interactive selection is manually selecting features using the mouse or touch interface. Querying. Querying retrieves specific information from a dataset. Queries can increase efficiency, increase precision, and enable data analysis. Querying increases efficiency by selecting relevant data. This reduces the volume of information to work with. Queries increase precision by allowing the user to pinpoint specific features or records. Querying enables analysis by isolating data to be analyzed. A database view. A database view is a saved query that provides a subset of data stored in a database for a specific purpose or user. Database views can encapsulate complex joins, calculations, and aggregations. Users can query views as if they were regular tables. Views ensure consistent data presentation across different applications. Changes to underlying tables automatically reflect in a database view. Spatial selection. Spatial selection parameters can include intersect, are within a distance of, are within, are completely within, contains, completely contains, have their centroid within, share a line segment with, touch the boundary of, are identical to, are crossed by the outline of, contains Clementini, and are within Clementini. Intersect. An example of intersect is the Mississippi River intersects many states. Are within a distance of. The are within a distance of parameter creates buffers around the bounding layer and selects features within those areas. Are within. Using the are within parameter, the geometry of the target feature must fall inside the geometry of the bounding feature, including its boundaries. Are completely within. Using the are completely within parameter, the source feature must be completely inside the bounding feature and not share a boundary with another feature. Contains. An example of the contains parameter is the US contains Texas even though it shares a border with Mexico. Completely contains. Using the completely contains parameter, each point feature must fall inside the geometry of the target feature. An example of completely contains is the US completely contains Kansas but not Texas because Texas borders Mexico. Have their centroid within. If the centroid of the target feature falls into the geometry of the bounding feature, then it has its centroid within the bounding feature. Share a line segment with. Features share a line segment if the shapes have at least two contiguous vertices in common. Touch the boundary of. The touch the boundary of parameter is true if part of the boundaries of two features are coincident, but their interiors do not intersect. Are identical to. The are identical to parameter is true if the geometries of two features are equal. Are crossed by the outline of. The are crossed by the outline of parameter is true if two shapes have at least one vertex in common but do not share a line segment. Contains Clementini. Using the contains Clementini parameter, if a feature sits on the boundary of a feature, it won't be selected. A normal contains will select a feature if part of it overlaps the boundary of the bounding polygon. Are within Clementini. Using the are within Clementini parameter, if a feature sits on a boundary, it won't be selected. In a normal are within parameter, features will be selected if they overlapped the boundary of the bounding polygon. Attribute data selection function types. Attribute data selection function types include new selection, add to selection, remove from selection, subset selection, switch selection, and clear selection. SQL. SQL stands for Structured Query Language. SQL provides the capability to define, manipulate, and subset data. Query expressions. Query expressions select a subset of features or records. Boolean operators. Boolean operators include and, or, exclusive or, and not. Boolean operations return true or false values. Boolean operators are also known as logical operators. And selects data that meets both criteria, and is like a spatial intersection. Or selects data that meets one or both criteria, or is like a spatial union. Exclusive or. Exclusive OR selects data that meet one criteria but not both. Exclusive OR is like a spatial exclusive union. Not. Not doesn't select data that meet the criteria. Not is like a spatial negation. You also need to know introductory level SQL for the GISP exam. I stress introductory level. The SQL questions on the exam are very easy. I'm not going to attempt to teach an SQL class because I'm not a programmer. There are plenty of free resources for learning SQL. You can also find an introductory SQL cheat sheet in my book, which should cover enough to answer the easy questions on the exam. Now you know everything that I learned about data selection queries and views, with the exception of learning the SQL language, to easily pass the GISP exam. Don't forget to thumbs up and subscribe to my channel so that I can keep helping people pass the GISP exam and achieve the rewarding careers in GIS that they deserve. You can also find everything I learned to pass the GISP exam in my book, The Ultimate GISP Exam Study Guide, available on Amazon. My study guide is an easily understandable, comprehensive, graphical, all-in-one resource for passing the exam. You can find the link to my study guide in the description below. Thanks for joining me, and congratulations in advance on passing the GISP exam.